Hello, and welcome. You are about to enter the Large K Podcast.
Kazu, and welcome to the very first episode of Large K Podcast. On this show, I interview musicians and we simply talk about music. Well, mostly about their work and how they got to where they at right now. I currently play guitar in a band called Cheer Up Charlie, and one of the greatest benefits of being in a band is you get to meet many interesting and talented people. So one day I thought it would be a cool idea to interview them. For this first episode of Large K Podcast, I had a chance to speak with Timmy Moreno of Nuance. I know Timmy because we played shows together in the past, and he's a very nice guy. Nuance is the name of his solo project. His sound is ambient and sensational. Once he pulls out his keyboard and plays that blissful melody, I tell you, he'll put you on a different planet. Anyway, here's my conversation with Timmy Moreno of Nuance. Enjoy. This is what I actually studied. I actually interned at a radio station in San Francisco too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So and when I was managing college radio, this is like the type of stuff that I used to do, was like interviewing people. But after I graduated, it just completely stopped doing that. And for some reason, I don't know. Like after being in Cheer Up Charlie, I just felt that like since I'm meeting all these people, I feel like if I don't do this right now, then I'm kind of taking it for granted.
Yeah,
so,
I feel that. So that's cool that you're like doing that.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, it's and I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, so that's just been inspiring me to like do shit like this, you know.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but no. Ever since I've seen you play, I think the first time I saw you play was at the program.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe like a little while ago when you opened for Cheer Up Charlie, and it was like one of those acts that like I never like expected, because usually like it'll be like punk bands at like skate shop and stuff like that, you know. But you're like this very ambient kind of Brian Eno thing is going on, you know? So I thought that was pretty unique. But was piano your first instrument?
Yeah, when I was I think maybe either like 7 or 8, there was this teacher, and you know I wasn't with him for all too long, but there was this teacher that taught other students at my school. His name was John Gardner, and he also went by Bunk Gardner, and he was actually like he was one of the saxophone players for the Mothers of Invention, Frank Zappa's band.
Oh, wow.
And I believe he also did session work with Van Morrison, so he was just like this like wild dude, and like I'd bring him like sheet music to like, I want to learn this Coldplay song, and he'd just be kind of like, that's pretty fucking average or whatever. So he kind of like, I'd like to credit him for the kind of like the first look into like the sound or like the scene that like not everybody was looking towards.
Right.
But so yeah, my first exposure to music was with him, and it was only for like a short little while, and then I had put in piano kind of on the back burner until like when I started college, 3 years ago, and that's about when Nuance became a project. So
okay, yeah,
it was a very, very long gap.
I mean, coming from somebody that was in like a Frank Zappa band, and then you show him a Coldplay song.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I'm like looking back on it, I think it's funny too, and I saw him very recently, and I was just like, hey, like I'm still playing piano, and he's like, that's great, like,
okay.
I don't really remember you, but cool.
Also, you guys are still somehow connected then.
Yeah, it was at like a family friends like dinner party of some sort. I don't really remember, but yeah, I actually saw him this last year, so that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Where does the name come from for Nuance? It's a common band question.
Yeah, I can't really pinpoint where I drew the name from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember like what I was thinking of, but I think I just had this like I was fixed on like a like one band, like one word name, and I guess Nuance kind of rolled off the tongue a little bit.
Yeah.
And I liked it at first, and then I put out the first release that I ever did as Nuance, and kind of just grew to hate it. And then now I don't really hate it as much anymore. So.
Yeah, I don't know, like I feel like the music and like the artist name kind of goes with it.
Yeah,
it goes pretty well. I mean, like if you talk about like Slow Dive, for example, I mean it feels like you're diving slow. That's metaphorically, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel that.
Yeah. So you started off with the piano, but then did you eventually transition to guitar after that?
Yeah, I want to say I was about 10 or 11 when I started playing guitar. And,
okay.
Had an upbringing through like, I don't want to call it punk because, that might upset a lot of people. But
okay.
I essentially, like, the first few bands that I was in were just playing Black Flag or Dinosaur Jr. covers at bars. And
really?
Yeah, it was gratifying for the 13-year-old me who had heard, like, the Descendants for the first time. I was just like, damn, like, this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
And I stuck with that, did, like, a few various projects with some friends for some time, and then towards like the middle/end of high school, I kind of started getting more into like the melodic side of music and found myself immersed in like, I guess for lack of a better word, twinkly emo and like post, like very like entry level post rock bands, and that's kind of what I geared my sound towards. And I'd like to think that even that kind of has some influence on what I do for Nuance as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the project before called?
I was in a band called Kip, and it's very much a band I consider my high school band.
Okay.
And it was just with all friends of mine from high school, and we were all into different types of music, and it was just this very weird mesh of people. But
that's always the best though, right?
Yeah, and like, it was, no one took the project super seriously, but I mean, we got to play shows, we got to meet other cool bands, we got to take our band on the road and out of town, and that was like, from someone who had never played in like any kind of touring band before, that was like unlike anything I've ever done before.
Right, yeah.
So that was kind of like my first exposure into like a DIY community, and
okay.
I'm thankful for that it came at the time that it did, because
Yeah.
those are some of like my fondest memories playing music as well.
No,
So.
sounds like you had a blast. I mean, just playing with those guys,
Yeah.
But what is it? So you guys kind of grew apart, and then when you went into your solo thing after.
Well, our other songwriter had moved to go to university up in Monterey Bay.
Okay.
Beginning of 2015. And Nuance had actually started a full year before that. So I started that like spring of 2014, and that was like it was coming towards the end of my freshman year. And so the first half of that I was able to meet up with them pretty regularly and like practice the Kip stuff. But as second semester came around for me, like I got busier and they all got busier, so I wasn't able to like meet up with them as regularly as I wanted to, but I still wanted to kind of just express this creative outlet.
Right.
And I'd just been listening to a lot more like, I guess, dialed back stuff, and figured like, this is like something I can give a shot. And I just wanted to do something a little bit different, and that came about with the first Nuance release, which I debate deleting off of the internet from time again because I hate it so much. But I mean, it's very much a part of the process, and that was the very first thing I had ever done by myself. And
right. Yeah.
It shows, but it's what it takes sometimes. I suppose.
It's part of the growth is like starts off with hating your own stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's true. That's true. What kind of stuff was played around your house? Like, what would your mom and dad listen to?
As a kid, like.
What's the first memory of like a music? Do you remember?
The first memory of music that I know is my mom blaring the Linda Ronstadt Greatest Hits album while cleaning our house as I was like 2 years old. And so I guess with my parents, that's kind of where they're geared towards. They're geared towards that like pop from the late 60s and the early 70s. I can't really say that my influence in music had come from them because they kind of look at everything I do and they're just like, whoa, like
it's too much, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not that it's even all too much at all, but
yeah.
I feel like I got into music more through like some of the friends that I grew up with who also went on to like play in bands. So I had a very fortunate exposure to certain people at like a sensitive period in my life to where it really resonated with me, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah. I see. Actually, I was looking through your, I guess Facebook is like a good source for that. And then because you created this like whole list of albums like on this one picture. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. The very trendy thing where you put like your top 50 albums and all your friends judge you. And yes, I did do that.
Yeah. That's actually my first time ever seeing that thing. Like I didn't even know that top 4 actually existed. I thought it was like top 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But so here are the top 4 records that you put down. You put down "Say Anything's Is a Real Boy," "At the Drive-Ins," "In Casino," "Out," right? "Meet Me in St. Louis," "Variations on Swing," and "Smashing Pumpkins," "Melancholy," and "Infinite Sadness."
Yeah.
And my question is, because as I grew up like listening to kind of like K-rock or whatever, like I was never really like a Smashing Pumpkins guy, but just out of curiosity, I was wondering why is that record so special to you?
Oh man, it's been my number one for as long as I can remember. Just because I don't remember the first time that I heard it, but just the idea of like a double album existing to me was just crazy because it's like almost 30 songs, and to me it's all very I think it's a masterpiece, but I mean that comes from a lot of bias, and Billy Corgan is crazy, the dude is wild, but I mean I still to deny that he's insanely talented is just ridiculous. Like I don't know. I guess the dynamic I liked so much about that album was that the songs were either very dialed back and like almost ambient in a sense, but more so like they kind of set like a mood, so it's either very dialed back and tame, or it's just very like that kind of like alternative 90s sound. And I really like that back and forth. Like, you'd have like on the first half of the record, you'd have Tonight, Come On, which is just this like beautifully orchestrated piece, and that transitions right into Jelly Belly, which is just this heavy hitting, like guitar driven, very screechy, just angsty anthem. So I think that was the dynamic that really stuck out with me as a kid. That was like, oh, like these bands can be like really heavy, but then they can also have this soft side, and it's not like overly corny,
right? So. I was actually because of this, like I was actually listening to that record the other day, because I was comparing between Siamese Dreams and Melancholy, and Siamese Dreams is like definitely it's like a good wall of sound, it's just really shoegazy, and I definitely feel that Billy definitely took a lot of those influences from like even like My Bloody Valentine.
I feel that. Yeah. And Siamese Dream was the record that I actually heard after Melancholy. Melancholy was the first thing that I had ever heard by Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, it's very grand, right? I mean, all the pianos. And,
and that's I guess you could say I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, that's why. I could see why, like especially listening to Tonight, the nuance sound could also come from that too.
Yeah, so. Even the like the later half on the second half of the album, From Twilight to Starlight. That's very like, there's a lot of moodier tones on the end of that record as well. And I think that closing track, Farewell and Goodnight, just like perfectly like embodies what I'm trying to do.
Right, yeah.
But I guess my thing is, since I don't sing, I kind of have to find different ways to express myself. And like, not that anything I'm doing is really groundbreaking, but
yeah.
I'd like to think that like what I do, like each song or like release that I have invokes like a different type of emotion, maybe like that portrays like what I might be feeling around the time of that release, or different techniques that I'm trying to implement. And like with that first release, I just used so many like gross patches. I know there were some like bells in there and some very just like corny synth patches, and you know, that's one thing I feel like I discredit myself for a little bit. Is just like there was a lot more exploring with that first release, and I feel like everything I've done now, I think I've kind of been comfortable in my sound with what I do.
Yeah.
Like through software, so I kind of have this precise sound now, and you know, it might be the next step might be to like break out from that and maybe kind of venture with that same exploring factor that I had when I first started this project.
Have you tried singing?
I
mean,
for this project, no.
Okay.
I've sung in bands before, but
okay. Singing is I always question myself that too, especially
it's its own beast.
Yeah.
I wish I could scream. That's what I want, because I want to invoke that kind of emotion as well. And I've played in bands that have called for screaming, but I've never been the one to be able to do it. And I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just not comfortable just like vocalizing during a performance.
Right.
And, you know, I kind of find solace in like,
you gotta have like, definitely a lot of confidence and like courage to be able to do that. You know?
Yeah, and I like admire that greatly, and I don't know, I just think it's this cool thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always felt that way too, where it's like, man, I wish I could scream, but then like when I laid back and just watch, you know, Dawson just screaming like during the performance and stuff, I'd be like, I don't know if I could really do that, but you know, it's cool to be able to actually invoke that emotion, you know, because the audience could really feel it. Which is like the great part of the whole vocal performance.
Yeah,
so.
I think good vocal approach as well as good lyrics can add that much more to a piece of music, and I think I'm kind of learning to like take that in a little bit more, because I've always been musically oriented over like lyrically oriented. Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, there are some banger songs that I find myself singing along to, but I much more often find myself analyzing like, whoa, that riff was sick, over like, oh, that line of lyrics was just so deep. And so, you know, I'm kind of trying to learn to balance out the two a little bit more.
Definitely, man. When you started Nuance, was it intended to be like a, I mean, I don't know if I should call it like a bedroom project, but like, because did you expect yourself to actually play live shows?
Not at all.
Okay.
And like, that it very much was what you said. It was very much this creative just outlet for me while I was at school and didn't have the accessibility of being with my band as much as I wanted to.
Okay.
And yeah, it was very much this thing of just like, I'm gonna like work on a song when I have free time and just put it out, just like for myself as well as for my friends.
Right.
It's always received like a nice amount of support, but for the first couple of years it was just this very like finite amount of people, just because, you know, I wasn't really hyping it. I didn't have any intention of like taking it outside of like my room or my like Facebook. And I think so the last band that I was in a band called Fistbenders, and after I had stopped playing with them, I was kind of just at this place for like a month where I was just like, wow, so I've been playing in bands for like several years now, pretty consistently, and I kind of just took like a month off to just kind of relax, and my friend Alex pushed me and was like, hey, like, I'm doing this cool, like, I have this idea for a label / like almost a collective group of people, and, you know, we very much want to explore the arts and the influence of experimental or electronic music.
Right.
And
Okay.
and he prefaced it with like, we've had like a show before, but we're putting on another one, like, come play some of your stuff. And I was just like, no. I can't do that. But then, after enough persuasion, I was like, I reluctantly had decided to play, and it was a year ago this month, and it was at my friend Barry's house in Costa Mesa.
Oh, it's that recent, huh?
Yeah, so the project's been a thing for a few years, but I've only been playing shows for these last like 11 to 12 months or so.
That's great though. I mean, I see you get invited to play and open for everybody and stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
it's a very pleasing opener. Like, it's like,
that's probably the comment I get the most, and I really appreciate hearing that.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, cause I enjoy it a lot. It's like a breath of fresh air. Almost like as soon as you walk in, you hear this like little piano, not necessarily like an anthem, but like the ambience is really nice. And
Yeah, I the thing that I find kind of funny is just seeing some of the people that I play to just so thrown off, just because all these people and all these kids come to the show to like expect this band, and people who haven't heard of me are just like, oh, like this guy Nuance is playing first, like I'll probably stay outside for a set, but I'll come in and check it out, and then I'll see people come in, they're just kind of like, whoa, and they'll just like sit down and just like vibe, and I don't know, I think that's funny, just because it's new for me too, because it's like I've never performed anything like that before.
Yeah, you should go with this new slogan called "Nuance and Chill."
Yeah, exactly.
Just go with that. Yeah, but whenever I watch you perform, you use the looping pedal, and you just kind of keep going with that, right?
Yeah, it's very primitive, and by that I mean like the loop pedal itself that I use. It's not real. It doesn't really have a whole lot of dynamic. I can stack stuff, but I can't take anything out.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of like when I end a song, I kind of have to just like awkwardly fade out and just kind of like improvise to the end, or just kind of cut it however.
Right.
I'd like to get to a point where I'm invest more in some better gear, and perhaps add like a little bit more elements to the Nuance set, because I've been doing the same thing for quite a while now, and
right.
I've gotten to a point where I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and that's great, but another part of me likes that discomfort of like stress and like almost like pain to make the performance the best that it could be. So I kind of like that discomfort of like, oh, add more elements in so there's more to keep track of, and the payoff is that it sounds better, or you're able to do cooler stuff and whatnot.
Yeah. Do you ever get lost, especially like when you're like just adding like layers of stuff, and all of a sudden like you're like, wait, where am I again?
Yeah.
You get lost in that time?
I mean, luckily, like the layers that I do add are pretty linear and short.
Okay.
So my problem isn't necessarily getting lost. It's more so like playing the wrong thing and then just having that stick out, because once you loop that, it's like there. So I've had like a few instances where I'll hit the completely wrong note in the bass, and it's just so prominent, and I'm just kind of sitting there for the rest of the song just like, well, let's try to work around this the best that I can.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably more of a difficulty that I have playing shows. That, as well as like not setting a loop in the right time, and then that just kind of like messing everything up.
Don't worry about it. It's just,
those were the first couple of shows. They were pretty rough, but now I have it a little bit more dialed in.
Yeah, there was one song that I listened to that kind of stuck out to me. It's off of your Someone Anyone. It's the one before.
Oh yes.
There's a song on there. Medley. Yeah. It's spelled with an I. So
yeah.
It's a cool song because not only it's ambient, but of course, like within your other tracks, you include beats in there too. So like, do you ever want to incorporate a beat into your live show, like maybe add a program or like add a drummer, like eventually?
Yeah, I have thought about that. It's kind of similar to just like the predicament that I was in before I even started playing shows. My big thing and why I didn't play shows for so long was I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. like I don't know how I'm gonna do that live. There's too much going on.
Just click the play button. And
Yeah,
just let it go.
yeah, exactly. That's how people think.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the like beats and drum machines and what have you, I guess I'm kind of just at a point where it's like, yeah, like I don't necessarily know how I would attack that yet, and maybe just kind of look into my resources. And you know, people have asked me about interest in like, oh, like, are you thinking about like adding a drummer or like a full band or like strings?
I've been asked before.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that's pretty cool, but like, it's just, I don't know if that's where my intention lies with this project. It's very much just something that was birthed in my freshman dorm room, and I don't know. I feel like I have the opportunity to play music with other people, and I think this project is kind of just like for me. And like, yeah, me saying that sounds very selfish, but I think I just kind of like look into it as like, I could be selfish about something every once in a while. This is the first like project I've had for myself, and you know, however long it's been. So it's very like, I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic I have with myself.
Yeah, but no, I don't think it's self-centered. Like, you know, whenever you, I mean, now that as we're talking, I start to notice that whenever you perform, it almost kind of like takes me to this place where it's like you practicing, you know, but it's actually a live show, but you practice. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
No, I feel that, and it's like once I. You know, because I recorded all of those songs through software, and like I didn't have any intention of ever playing them. So like the first couple of times that I practiced to like learn the songs,
there.
And
yeah, it's okay.
Peace. Where was I going with that? So the first couple times I went to like learn those songs, it very much was that like, wow, I recorded these so long ago. Like, how am I gonna? How to, you know, what do I play? I have to listen back to them and figure out what I'm playing again. And so those first couple of shows that I played were very much practice of just like kind of relearning, like, oh yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And now it's at this point where it's just like, it very much is, you know, in a sense, no different from like what I do in my room.
Right.
You know? And it's like, I think that's pretty cool too. 'Cause it's like, you know, I think that could be said for really any band, but yeah, for this project, I guess I just look at it as like, I see what I do when I write and when I practice, and then I literally just take that and play it in front of people, and people like it. So
no, you're taking all of us to your like, what do you call, like a creative space almost, you know, and then kind of showcasing that because I don't know, I really like how in a recording it's all electronic. I mean, of course it's acoustic, but it's also electronic. But then like at the show, it's like this ambient side of you like really coming out, you know, because you know how you're familiar with Aphex Twin, right?
Oh yeah,
like Richard D. James. Yeah. His stuff can get fucking crazy. I mean, like it's just out there, creepy and stuff. But his piano material is actually very beautiful.
Oh yeah, the first time I heard Flim, I was just like, dang, this track rips. And like, you know, I do like some of that like kind of glitchier, like almost arrhythmic stuff as well. And you know, that might be something that I might pursue in the future as well. I can't say for certain, but you know, I don't know. That's the cool thing about solo projects. It's just like I kind of immerse myself into all of these different sounds, all of these different styles, and you know, I try not to nitpick off of them, but like, or cherry pick off of them, but like, I don't know. I definitely draw a lot of influence from a lot of different people, which is, I think, you know, could be said for everyone, but
most importantly, you're in control. Like, you know, that's the greatest thing, right? I mean, like,
you know, playing shows is great because people will hit me up, and I know right away if I can or can't do it. I don't have to like hit up 4 different people or 4 or 3 different people in a band. Yeah,
plus somebody's not pulling you. Come on, Timmy, let's play a show. Like,
exactly.
You get to definitely like decide that. You know, that's really really cool. I'm pretty excited to see like what you're gonna develop into. You know, I mean, it might start off as this like ambient thing, but turns into like this super glitchy project. You know? Was electronic music like another thing that you dabbled into? Like, because you said you grew up on twinkly emo stuff, but you know.
More or less. I think my approach with music is I am just the worst when it comes to talking about music, because every spectrum I've indulged is very much like the entry level aspect of it all. But yeah, I just, I remembered hearing like XXYYXX in high school, as well as like Purity Ring or
Purity
Baths.
Okay.
And Jamie XX from the XX has his like solo stuff that kind of resonated with me. But yeah, I don't know. I was more geared towards the dancier stuff when I started listening to electronic music. I really the guilty pleasure that I had to hide from my quote unquote punk friends in high school. I was very into like the disco house kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Like Thomas Bangalter from Daft Punk has that record label from the 90s, Roulette, and he put out a lot of artists through there, and that was some of like the first like dance music that I had heard, and I was just like, damn, this is sick. Like, so that was always kind of like a low-key thing, though. I never really like expressed any affinity for like electronic music, or even just, I don't know. I was too quote unquote punk.
Nah, you're not. You're very diverse. Also, I noticed that. I mean, it's kind of same thing with me too. But like, I usually draw inspirations from like watching movies or like going to see live shows. And I noticed that you go to a lot of them. And
that I do.
Yeah. What's the best show you've seen?
Ooh.
I don't know.
The best show I've seen. Are we talking like DIY shows or like venue shows as well?
You could. Yeah, how about this? We could include both. What's the best DIY and venue shows?
I feel. I could say for the best venue show that I've seen. I'm not huge into this band, but I went and saw Brand New like 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it was when they were doing the 2 nights at the Observatory. And so the first night, it was when they played Your Favorite Weapon and Deja in their entirety. And I didn't go to that night. I went to the second night where they played The Devil and God and Daisy. And for me, those are the more like important Brand New albums. And, I'll probably get a lot of flack for saying that. But
really? Isn't it the Devil album like more kind of acclaimed than...
I mean, it's renowned for sure amongst the fans, but I feel like there's that nostalgia value for those first 2 records as well. But like, I never got super into it. And I never got super into Brand New, but I did like those 2 albums when I like came around to seeing them, and they were like one of the best bands I've ever seen. They were just so good. And I didn't even think like about it. I don't know. I was blown away. And like, they played, I think it was like around like 25 songs as they had played the records, as well as some demos as well, and some B-sides. And so like the 2.5 hour set it just flew by. It just flowed so nicely, and I was just like, damn, like that was a cool show. I'm glad I went.
Yeah, I was never a Brand New guy, but like
neither was I.
It kind of blows me away how first of all, they haven't released a record in a long time, but yet they are such a huge band. They sell out shows everywhere all the time.
It's the effect of the rarity of playing shows, as well as just the Tumblr generation hype.
I see.
Yeah.
I guess they attract a lot of people. So I mean, I'm always surprised like whenever they play like at Shrine or something like that.
Yeah,
because
I remember that just happened too.
Yeah, and then tickets will sell out like that, like, and like everybody on Facebook be like Brand New, And...
yeah. No, I feel so like. For me, I probably don't ever have to see them again.
Yeah.
I'll save my ticket for someone else who they have a lot more meaning for. Mm-hmm. But yeah, probably one of the best bands I've ever seen. And so
for DIY
venue, or like just like a show. I'm trying to.
It could even be something that you were a part of too. So you opened for this band that came by.
Caught me right on the spot. I think one of the shows that had the most meaning that I scene was when Empire, I Was a Lonely Estate came out a couple of years ago.
Wait, that's the whole name? Empire, Lonely State?
I Was a Lonely Estate, yeah. An emo-influenced indie rock band.
Okay.
But, you know, that was some of the stuff that had, like, got me into more, like, melodically influenced guitar music when I was in high school. And, you know, I'd only seen them once, and they broke up this year. But seeing them at VLHS out in Pomona a couple years ago, that was just, like, another one of those shows that just, like, had a lot of meaning for me, just because, you know, I was hearing some of those songs that was just like, dang, like, those were some of the first, like, I guess, for lack of a better term, like, emo songs that I had heard.
So that was like another memorable. Did you know those guys at all, or it was just randomly they just?
No, I mean, I know they all have, or I think it's. I know his name is Keith, and it's his wife. And I know they run that label, Count Your Lucky Stars, if you're familiar. They've put out a lot of other cool artists as well.
Wow.
Who I think they put out Free Throw, and I know Free Throw was on that tour with them as well. But,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know them personally, but very sweet people, and yeah, it was a rocking gig. A hot rock and roll gig.
No, I was about to say I like to check them out, but they're not around anymore, huh? So,
yeah.
That's sad. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with music is it takes so long to develop, but when you want to quit, it's just like that. It's done, you know?
I think it's kind of badass, too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's kind of how, like, every band I've been in had, like, dissolved. Because it's like, you know, there's never this, like, ill intent of just like, oh, we put so much work into just, like, making this a thing, and we can't just quit. It's always been just like, hey, so, like, you know, I think this might have run its course. I don't know where you're all at, but, like, you down to call it a day? And for the most part, it's usually pretty civil. And, like,
okay.
You know, I know when my old band from high school broke up, we all got lunch the next day and we're just hanging out. So people, I don't know, people sometimes read, you know, like a band breakup is like, oh, there's beef, watch out.
Yeah,
but like
usually.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny.
Yeah, you guys make diss track to each other, like
exactly.
Just wrap it up, you know.
And the Someone Anyone Nuance release, that was a split, and Someone Anyone is the singer and the other guitar player from Kip.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Good to be supportive, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you guys are still friends, you know. I mean, I think Dawson played me a Kip song once, you know.
Oh, yikes.
I don't know which one it was, but I like it. It's very nice. Kind of minimal. But,
yeah, I can't listen to them. I can't do it. It's just it's too cheesy for me. But I mean, that's how I feel about everything I do. I'm like not one of those people that can listen to something that I've done just been like, fuck yeah, this is sick. Like, I do something, I either put it out or just like leave it in my computer forever and I don't touch it because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So whenever you produce your own track, you never feel like, this is amazing or anything like that, huh?
I mean, I get stoked. I'm like, hey, like, that thing that I did there was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And, sorry about that.
That's all good.
Yeah, I'll produce the track. I'll mix and master it to the best of my ability, which is not that great, but I make it sound the best that I can. Right. And then once I listen through it and think it's cool, I'm just like, all right, leave it alone till I release it.
Yeah. Let
me finish everything else. And then, you know, the writing process varies depending on, like, what type of release I want to do. Like, when I want to do an EP, I kind of try to, like, have it themed and, like, write some songs in similar keys. When it's a full length, that's just kind of all over the place and it takes a lot longer.
Right.
And I wrote a song as a single before too, and that was very much geared towards like, I just want to write the longest song that I can.
Yeah, it's I was watching this interview with Noel Gallagher of Oasis, and he was talking about, all right, there's a difference between somebody producing your track and you producing your like own track. Because like what he'll do is like you'll record a guitar and then you'll be sitting back there listening to it with the producer and he'll be like, okay, maybe you could change this and that, you know. Mm-hmm. But then when you're recording when you're producing a record yourself, you record the guitar and you sit back and listen, and you're like, I'm a fucking genius. But it's a personality difference too. You know?
I have so much disdain for Noel and Liam Gallagher. I never was into Oasis. For me personally, I think it's nice to have that kind of drive. Like, you know, here's the thing. I'm gonna make that parallel. If you don't have anyone to like keep your creativity, like your creative freedom in check, you're gonna end up with. I mean, hey, George Lucas didn't have anyone tell him no during the prequels, and, you know...
He did it anyway.
That's where we're left at today.
Yeah, now we got...
Noel Gallagher, where are you at?
Yeah, now we got Jar Jar Binks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's nice to, you know... And I don't necessarily have that with this project, aside from, like, me sending songs to, like, a few close friends, just like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Like, is this cool? And, like, for the most part, it's pretty whatever. Because, you know, it's not a big deal. Right. I'm not aimed at changing the world with anything that I do. I'm just trying to...
have fun with it.
I'm just trying to put out some tunes. But, yeah.
Yes, I think sometimes when people, like, gives themselves, like, a lot of credit for... or like, self-praise, per se, like, you know, then I feel like... It also lets themselves down too, like, you know, if somebody says like some shit about it, you know. So I mean, I don't know. For the most part, like, I don't really care too much about like my.
And I know for a fact that I don't know about Nuance, but I know for a fact that there's like other people that like do not like my bands, and like that's fine.
That's fine. Whatever.
You know, there's stuff I like and there's stuff I don't like. I'm not. I'd like to think I'm not the type of person that wouldn't get like salty. It's just like, oh, you don't like my bands. You're just wrong.
Right, yeah. Yeah, before we wrap it up, I have a few more questions. So I was wondering, well, you say that like you don't necessarily like consider your project just going in and being like, oh, this is amazing, but there must be a record that you're really proud of. So I mean, which one are you the most proud of, like, out of all your releases?
It would definitely the last release that I just put out, The Sound of Shadows, I think I kind of like. So I guess to answer this question, I kind of have two, and it'd be those two full lengths that I put out. So The Sound of Shadows, I think, was really kind of just where my sound came together, and like just for me knowing myself, those songs are a little bit more like lazily written. I feel like they weren't the best songs that I'd written, but I think for me that was a mixing project, and I think I finally dialed in like how to use the software that I'm using, and I'm happy with how it came out. And then so I guess sound wise, I would have to say it would be The Sound of Shadows. And as far as like some of my favorite music that I had written, it was that first full length that I had put out, In Passing, and it was the second thing that I put out. It was right after that first that train wreck of a but so I had spent the summer. I was a respite caregiver, so I would go to people's houses and, you know, care for their kids.
Yeah.
And I was with one client, and I was at their house for a week, and I was just like, fuck it, like, their kid's super mellow. I'm just gonna write a record this week, and that's like what came from that week. And that was the first time I guess I really was able to pinpoint the direction that I wanted to take this project with.
Right.
Because with that first release, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But with In Passing, for me at least, it appears as this like cohesive just unit of songs. And, you know, half the songs that I play are still off of that, because those are the most fun for me. They're a little bit more linear than like some of the other stuff that I've written. There's a lot like less texture behind it, and there's a lot more minimal tracks on that record where it's just me with a piano.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I think that was just like the first time that I was really like proud of something that I had ever done. So yeah, that's just one of those things that I'll remember forever, I suppose.
That's amazing. Have you ever played your stuff in front of your family? It's something that you could probably do. I mean, and I'm not saying talent show per se,
Yeah.
but it'll be like, Timmy, play something. You know?
I mean, my mom's heard me practice before.
Oh, okay.
Before, yeah. Because I had spent a few summers like back at home when I was in between places, and I'd have my setup there, and I'd play or write some songs, and she'd hear it. And I've never like pulled up my bandcamp and been like, "Hey, mom, check out this fire." But she's asked about it, and she's wanted to listen to it, and yeah, I've directed her to it, and she's listened to it on her own terms. I think she's down with it.
That's
I don't
cool.
think she really cares. She doesn't really care about anything I do, but
it's something that I was kind of curious about too.
Yeah.
All right, one final question. What do you like to order at Baja Fish Tacos?
Oh, chicken taco, chicken enchilada combo, always. Rice only, though, because
Rice
the rice there is too good. I like beans. I get beans everywhere else I go when I get a combo plate, but the rice there is just untouchable.
Yeah, is that like a ritual? Because like I see you going there a lot based on your social media.
Yeah, that's the image I like to portray. I don't go there as much as I would like to now that I'm not like... I was a lot more based in South Orange County for like the last couple of years, so I was able to go there more often. But this year's been a little busy. I'm sorry, Baja Fish Tacos, if you hear this. I just, I'm trying my best. I think I got it down to like maybe like once a month now, which is terrible. It's terrible. I used to go like once or twice a week sometimes.
Oh, I see.
It's the spot. It's the spot for me. I've been eating there since I was like 8. So
oh, really?
it's the spot.
Okay.
I've been getting the same thing since I was 8 too.
They should sponsor you. Nuance, presented by Baja Fish Tacos.
I'm not going to turn down the idea.
Right? Yeah. Well, we're just gonna like go ahead and conclude this. But I mean, what did you think? I mean, about this whole thing, just interview-wise, did you feel comfortable?
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, thank you. But right before we end this interview, I was thinking maybe we could play one of your songs. So like, what do you want the listeners to hear? Like, what's like the one song that you're thinking about?
I don't know. I guess I'm a big fan of like kind of series oriented stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a song off of In Passing called Shore Break, and with the latest release I had put out, The Sound of Shadows, there's a song that parallels to that and kind of serves as a follow-up. And it's very lazy. It's called Shore Break Part 2. But
we could play 2.
Yeah.
We could do that then.
Yeah. So if you want to put those two together, I feel like that'd be cool.
We'll go ahead and do that. Well, thank you so much, Timmy. Thank you so much for participating in
thank you.
First episode of Large K Podcast. Thank you.
Thanks.
you go. That was my conversation with Timmy of Nuance. Great guy, and I'm really excited to hear what he's going to do next. If you guys enjoyed his music, then I highly encourage y'all to check out his bandcamp. I put the link in the description box below. More episodes will be coming, so don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Kazu, and I'll see y'all next time on Large K Podcast. Bye.